8 top tips when it comes to the Banquet event. Hello, everybody. That was really camp. Hello, everybody. I'm Gogolborian, art expert, for those that know that reference. Any case, Banquet Event 2023 top tips. So we're going to go over what I've put in the spreadsheet. As I did say, go and check out the spreadsheet in the link in the description. It looks a little bit like this. This is one of the tabs. There's many tabs. How to get free points. Unit investment versus milestone take home. Drop rate, which is going to be added in once the crystal goes live, because at the point of recording this video, it's not live yet. But when it is, we'll be able to kind of have a look, well, how unobtainable are some of the spiciest meta rewards that Kabam have, nestled in to those particular crystals. So hopefully, there's some good stuff for people, but, let's face it, there's probably a low drop rate for things. But in any case, right, let's look at some top tips. You can go and check out the spreadsheet, link in the description. And of course, I posted it community tab. It's in the Discord. It was in some of the previous videos, and yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so what's the first tip? The first tip is about spending. Do not feel like you have to overspend on this. Of course, it's very different now than it was, say, 2019. Do people have lots of expendable income? Not as much. Is there a case that a lot of players are looking for value for money? Of course. Look, if you're new to the game, or kind of like at that threshold, some of these particular milestones that Kabam are giving out are going to make a difference. It could be interesting to you. Look, the opportunity to get a 7-star from an alliance-based participation is great, but from a solo perspective, isn't overly great. I think one of the main things I'm looking forward to is this right here, 7-star Gifted Guardians Crystal. Yes, some Ascension stuff is going to be great, and I'm looking forward to grabbing that, but it's that 7-star Gifted Guardians Crystal that I'm most interested in. And of course, obtaining that is actually not too bad, especially if you're willing to go and do a bit of arena grinding for it. But do bear in mind, spending hard for stuff to try and obtain things like, well, the rank 3 2 to 3 gem, maybe something next year, maybe like, well, instead, save your money for next year instead, because it will be more depreciation, therefore more opportunity to the player base. And maybe Kabam will look at the Banquet event different next year and go, okay, well, we'll allow something like an objective instead that's very much progression driven. That could be really beneficial. Not to say they will or won't, but look, things always get improved once Kabam get criticism and forward to the next year. Okay, so that's the first tip. Second tip is all about a last minute unit grind. So one thing that I have provided to you in this particular spreadsheet is a scenario of how many units you theoretically could get from going to grab some from various different locations on a 14-day cycle. Based on all these kind of like various units that are possible, and do bear in mind, it will be about grinding for them. Something I'm doing because I'm also grabbing some units. I'm taking a hit of 3,000 units to go and then retop that back up again when I do my Necropolis runs. Because let's face it, I'm going to try and get about 25k units, but I'm losing out 3k units because I'm going to have fun. That's the thing. That's going to be the final tip, by the way. But yeah, if you grind hard, there's a good chance with a bit of RNG, you can get about 3,845 units. So look, it's an option there if you're willing to go out and grab it from the various different locations, from arena grinding, from some of the various different types of events that may drop and give an opportunity. 22-hour solo events, they're great, by the way. Go and have a look at that. Tip number 3 is all about trying to access points. A lot of us are trying to get 34,500 points. How you go and do that is going to be very much down to you. And of course, the process of it will be, different. If you are going to use the methods of different days of release. So, what's the day of release? Well, today, the 20th of December, is a day of release. So you'll have opportunities to get different types of milestones, different types of GBCs, open them, and as well, but the thing is, you'd be like, okay, well, look, Rich, I've bought 10 GBCs for 3,000 units. Okay, well, that's fine. You've jumped it. You've literally gone to a different kind of like stage. For me, it is going to be that. I'm going to, right off the bat, go, right, let's grab 3,000 units worth of GBCs, which then elevates me down to a situation of, well, I don't need to wait quite so much until the following week when I get more accolades. And one thing I would say is, look out, do your Accolades event first. Go and send your accolades to your alliance members, your friends, whatever it is. Do it first. Why? It's 500 points from that event, which means you get 5 GBCs. 5 GBCs, open them up, gets you on the ladder. It's something that I've mentioned in this this kind of like tip about how to get 35k. It starts you off. And once that starts you off, you've got this now process about getting down the milestones quickly. A lot of action can happen on the 20th of December if you're willing to reinvest from this milestones you get units from, which of course I've had to be very clear on just in case anybody takes that out of context. But yeah, like look at this as a process of how to get that 7-star gifted crystal. Mega. Tip number 4 is all about scams. Be wary of scams. Do not get involved with stuff when it comes to global. There doesn't look like, based on last year, like there's going to be any scams that could arise. But there could be stuff out there like, oh, I'll give you units, or I'll do this, blah, 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 gift cards, that. But don't get involved with it. Look, if you're desperate for you don't need to be that desperate for units or further progression in this event. Get the 950 units. Go and get 3k by going farming some arena. Just do it this once this Christmas. Don't do it again if you don't like arena. But don't get involved with stuff. One thing that I have made sure to do is I've turned off global chat, and I welcome that anybody to do that, especially when it comes to the holiday period, just in case you see people doing those scams. Also, don't get involved with anything that's kind of like third-party sites that kind of promise stuff to deliver. Same thing when it comes to things like scams on Facebook and various different types of areas. It's not worth you, number one, losing your account. Number two, having it banned because you've used something that looks like a scam, even like a monetary thing, like a credit card fraud type thing. If it seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. So try and keep clean and kind of grind the game to get some of the stuff to participate in the Banquet event. Tip number 5 is all about keeping a log of your rewards. One thing I think a lot of players will be is very disappointed. There will be those that will get amazing RNG and those that will not. If you're not getting good RNG, make a decision to stop investing further in the Banquet event, especially if you're at a point where you're not getting anything back from the milestones. So keeping a log to say, okay, I've picked up, I don't know, half a 7-star, that may be good. But keeping a log of all the things that you've picked up, so like just a little kind of like pad of paper, just write down what you've picked up, is important, because you may be going, I just spent 3,000 units on effectively what was trash from it. You may be like, oh, I picked up some great stuff from the free milestones, the free 23 that I've picked up, and that may be your stopping point. And if you're getting disappointed by this particular event from RNG from that greater Banquet Crystal, and by the way, they're fun, and that's something to kind of treat this event. This is a fun event. You will get stung by RNG, but it's the same thing when you pick up a mystery box, a mystery bag, a lucky bag. It's a case like you more than likely will be disappointed with what you see as a result from what you pick up. And that leads us on to tip number 6, and it's all about making assessments as to how further you want to go with the event. Of course, you can talk about the RNG, but also you can talk about the further milestones and points you're willing to go down further into. So like saying, okay, well, for me and many other people, first off, 950 units and stopping at 33,000 for solo could be the way to go with it. Or you may be in a different persuasion of going, well, I'll get 67,200 and get exactly similar to what you could have got last year. Quite possibly by investing 4,550 units. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. But again, like, do you want to go down to the furthest and spend nearly 10,000 units in trying to get a 7-star? Make this decision of how far you want to go and how much it's worth you going, and whether or not those units could be better saved for things in the future. Like, okay, well, we've got Act 8.4 coming at some stage, and maybe offers about that, and there may be other things in game. Change your mastery setups. One thing that I personally have to do at some stage is have a mastery loadout that is very reminiscent of Suicide Mastery Switch for Battlegrounds, but it's something that's going to cost me a lot in the short term, but it will benefit me in the long term. So again, I have to make that decision. But also investing into Necropolis. Make these decisions how far you're willing to go. Tip number 9 is all about achieving ranks. This is very difficult this year to guess, especially, or predict, because last year and the year before, 2021, when I predicted, the scores were inflated and it seemed very ridiculous because especially cost of living crisis and of course spending money, but more people were spending more money, which was weird. The same thing when it comes to like this year. Even though there's hype has like died down for this, I'm sure a lot of people will take part. It could mean that scores go down, and that's what I'm kind of going with. Not a huge amount, but definitely by a good chunk. And that's the thing as well, to go, look, how far are you willing to push this particular event? How far are you willing to go? because it still will be a case that a lot of units, aka a lot of money, will be the way to get some of the highest ranks within this particular results point. And that's the case of looking back in time and going, right, well, before people were spending tens of thousands of dollars on this particular event, will people do this in 2023, or have they moved on to other games? Do we have the mega whales? Are they still about? It'll be interesting to know if that's the case, but again, make that assessment of how far you are willing to go in order to get to this point. Some people may do this and be interested. Some people probably not. But yes, there will be a chunk of units you'd have to invest for it. Is the 10,000 to 12,000 unit investment going to get you far? Probably not, but it may get you at a nice 26% to 50% when it comes to the endpoint, similar how it was, before for the solo. And of course, from Alliance perspective, look, something to mention is that everybody is, or more than likely, a lot of people are going to be able to achieve the 1 mil 33 and 36,000 based on the fact that everybody's going to be doing it to get that 34,500 points of participation to get that 7-star gifted Guardian's Crystal. We end on the final tip, and my final tip is have fun. Like, here's the thing. I can be critical about this event. Other people can be critical about this event. Everyone is entitled to their opinion on different and various matters. But one of the big things that always shine through is that this is a bit of fun. I've already said, like, my interest with this particular event is to have fun, right? I will probably get stung by RNG, but I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I'm probably going to waste 3,000 units, but I'm going to have a bit of fun. Could I spend less units? Of course I could. But I'm going to be making some videos. Of course, this is a free-to-play kind of approach to me having fun this year with the event. I'm spending 7,000 less units than I did last year. But am I going to invest those units in other places? Of course. It's going to be about my Necropolis run. It's going to be about hopefully not using some of those and reusing those units for something like the Act 8.4 deal, or maybe a special deal that pops up. But the main thing, and what I will say to everybody is, open up those GBCs. I wish you incredibly good luck on this festive time. And may the luck be with you. And have fun. And that's been a video. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the spreadsheet. Check out some other content. And I'll see you all in the next one. And bye-bye.